Hello, welcome to the podcast. My name is Caitlin. If you are new, today's gonna be a little bit of a different episode, so it's not gonna be like the same kind of structure that I've been trying to do recently, but I will be doing that next episode. But this episode, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about like some interesting things with psychology and not necessarily the class that I'm doing, basically. Yeah. Let's see. I don't plan any of my stuff that I talk about. Like, sometimes I talk about my class or whatever, but like, I don't plan what I'm gonna say. I don't rehearse anything. So it's really just how whatever I need to say comes out. But today I was thinking about, well, I just got a new tattoo. I already had this little dude over here, but she redid it a little bit. And then, yeah, this one is new. And not only is it, I think, my 9th tattoo, but it's also a little bit of a, like, obviously it's not a secret because I keep telling everybody, but it's a little, like, memorial for my cousins that passed away. And they passed away at different times, but same circumstances. And that's why mental health is such a important topic for me. You can put the 2 and 2 together there. But I wanted to get a little bit of something, so that's why there are like 2 prominent stars over here. And it's just, my sister's doing something similar. She's got a totally different design, but something to remember them by and to have with her all the time. And it's it makes me think about my own mental health too, and also the process of getting tattooed, I actually kind of enjoy. Like, I like the controlled release of pain, and it's kind of made me think of other things in life that people do that are, you know, a way to kind of externalize maybe the internal pain that they're feeling. Because for me, it's very hard for me to understand or like process internalized pain. I just don't process things very well. Thankfully, I know why now, and it's not, I don't feel like I'm so broken. But like, it's really hard for me to process things sometimes. And having an external way of kind of dealing with that helps sometimes. And you have to be, you know, cautious about how you go about that. But I grew up, you know, early 2000s, emo kid. I don't know if you can tell by the beanie, but no. I was definitely an emo kid growing up. I wasn't allowed to listen to, like, if you're not religious at all, you probably won't even have heard this term, but I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music, which is basically anything that's not Christian, for all the people out there that don't know, because my partner didn't know what that meant, and I was like, oh man, okay. Every time I talk to my partner, I realize like how crazy my upbringing was, a little bit. But anyways, it wasn't until I was like 17 that I really started listening. I mean, I was like maybe 15 when I started listening to like One Republic. Ooh, they're not Christian. But like he is, like, I don't know, he kind of is, kind of was. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. And then I, started listening to, like, I don't know, Imagine Dragons. Like, other, like, really tame music. And then it kind of just evolved from there because I'd always listened to kind of heavier Christian music. So it was the same kind of genre that I still like, with just, specific messaging. But there was still a lot of like tough subjects talked about, and self-harm was still like talked about, and it was a good community, I think, to kind of grow up going to these concerts and having people that looked different around me too, like very heavily tatted people that were super nice. And I just grew up with a totally different perspective of people because I grew up going to these concert festivals and seeing people with lots of piercings and black clothes and boots, and I just loved it. I was like, these people are awesome, and like screaming, and like I just loved it so much. And for me, because I have a really hard time expressing my emotions, it was worse when I was a child. I feel like I definitely have gotten better at it because I've tried really hard, but I wasn't good at expressing myself. So having that kind of music to help me process helped a lot. And as a lot of people with ASD will say, they don't like loud noises, but they will listen to like their favorite music on full blast, and that was totally me. And I would listen to like the same album over and over and over again, and I would listen to music all the time. It was just something like I couldn't live without music for a while there. I was homeschooled, so I was able to kind of keep my headphones in and do school at the same time, and for the most part, that worked really well for me, especially during math, because I wasn't reading and getting words confused, and that was my favorite. But yeah, I was just, like, I needed almost, I joke about, like, I like the assault on my eardrums from the screams. It's just like I can feel it. It's like I am releasing something by listening to it. I don't know. It helps me kind of process those very complex emotions that I don't know what to do with a lot of times. And similarly with tattooing, where like I enjoy the sensation. It does hurt. Now, it obviously depends on where it is. Like the one on my ribcage, that was bad. Had to like come back for a different session. And like I know I do want to get it touched up and like change a couple of things, add a couple of things. But that one I'm not looking forward to, because that's just like, it's hard to breathe and it feels like I'm being stabbed in the boob, and it's just not. But for the most part, all of my other tattoos, I've actually kind of enjoyed the process. And I think it's because I generally feel better afterwards. Now, the giant one on my thigh, I felt kind of sick afterwards because that was a lot of tattooing at one time. But it's still like a psychological thing where, you're not in pain anymore. And so like having that tension and the release of tension is like relaxing. And it just, I don't know, it just feels good. And so I was thinking about other ways that people do this and why it's so like stigmatized. But a lot of people do enjoy that feeling of controlled pain. Obviously, the key word being controlled, and there being consent involved. But it's just, it kind of brings you outside of yourself and back, like, into the moment of what's happening, and not, stuck in your brain and thinking about all of the things that you could be thinking about, which I know for people that have experienced trauma, complex trauma, neurodiverse people, a lot of times those fall into very similar, sometimes the same category, just depending on your experiences. But a lot of times it can be really helpful for us to have that kind of avenue where we're not hurting ourselves in like a permanent way, because I know that's, I grew up as an emo kid. I know a lot of people who used to like cut themselves, and so finding a way to have a release without, injuring yourself or causing permanent damage, is, I think, really important. I don't think it should be looked at as this, taboo thing. I mean, it's probably always going to be that way, but I don't think it should be looked at that way. I also don't think that it should be a replacement for therapy or, working on yourself in other ways. But I do think there's a place for it. And I think it can be really helpful in dealing with just the difficulty in processing. So that was just something that I've been thinking about and I wanted to talk about. But I don't think I have a whole lot more to talk about today. So this one's going to be a really short one. But I am kind of doing this podcast for several reasons. Part of it is because I just want to be able to talk about things. And I don't want to annoy people by talking over and over again. So if I just say it over here, then that's one more time that I'm not saying it to my partner or something, which I talk to my partner all the time, and that's kind of actually another thing I wanted to talk about that I forgot about. I don't know why for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's also stemmed from my childhood of feeling like I have to tell my parents everything. Like they want me to tell them everything, and but I would get in trouble for stuff, so I just didn't tell them anything. But I did feel guilty about it because I was told that I should tell them everything and that I can tell them everything and it'd be fine, and it wasn't, and so I didn't. But they still kept saying that I could, and so I had this constant tension of well, I can't tell them because I know they're going to get upset, but they're telling me I should and that I won't get in trouble, but I know that I will, and so I'm just not going to say anything. And so I kept so many little secrets. Everything felt like it was a secret, even though it was stupid little things that didn't matter, and no other kid was probably thinking that but me. But any little thing, it felt like if I didn't say it, it was a secret, even if it didn't need to be said. And I still have that today. And I don't know. Part of me just wants it to go away. Like I was saying, I have a tattoo on my hip, and I sent a picture of that to a friend of mine, and I don't know why, but I felt so guilty afterwards. Like, I had just sent like a provocative photo to somebody, and I was, I'm with my partner, and like, why would I send a picture to somebody else? And I was like, that's literally not even what I was doing. But I guess my mindset at the time maybe made me feel like I was. And I also was getting ready to get my period. I'm on my period now, and that can always mess with my like perception of things, and I can be kind of emotional or just like more sensitive. Like, I'm just heightened sensitive, like to sensitive to things. Blah, blah, blah. But it's just, I felt like I was keeping a secret when it literally didn't matter. And I knew it logically in my head. I was like, this doesn't matter. Why is this bothering me? Like, just go to sleep. Like, why? It just felt stupid. And so I had to tell my partner the next day. I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling so disturbed by this, but I have to tell you. And it's just so frustrating because I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel like I can't, like, do anything. Not even bad, just anything without telling him. And it's not because he's telling me I need to tell him everything. It's me. And I just don't get it. Like, it's just so deeply ingrained in my nervous system. My body won't let me not say it. I feel sick to my stomach, and my heart rate is increased, and I feel like a little kid again, like I'm getting in trouble. And I don't know how to make that stop. And it's really frustrating as an adult who can make their own decisions. Nobody's controlling me. And yet my nervous system still reacts this way. And it's just, yeah, it's just disturbing. It's just disturbing to me. It messes with my head, my body. I don't want to feel sick to my stomach for no reason, no good reason. Yeah. But I mean, in some ways it's good. I mean, I do have a very, open communication with my partner. I talk about, everything. He knows everything. So, I mean, it's, in that way, can be a good thing, but it's like, it doesn't always feel good. Like, it feels like I have to, not that I necessarily want to. And that's, I think, where the disconnect happens, and where I start to have issues with the way that it feels, is like, I want to talk to my partner. Like, I want to be open. I want to say things. I don't want to feel like I have to, or I'm going to be sick all the time. And that's where it gets really problematic for me, I guess. So another thing to talk to my therapist about, but it was just on my mind because it happened recently, and I was like, this is so... I'm trying really hard to change the way I think, and not say, oh, this is so stupid, why are you thinking this way? Like, you just need to stop, because it doesn't help, and I know it doesn't help. And I'm trying to be kind to myself and say I know that it's because my nervous system is wired this way. I know it's because I'm afraid of getting in trouble like I was when I was a kid, and why I didn't say anything all the time, because I was afraid. And I know it's just still that same fear that I felt when I was a kid. I know that's what it is. And I know that it's not something I can just change overnight. I can't just will it away one day. It has to be a process. Yeah. But I am hopeful that I can get better at this. Like, the feeling, getting better at managing the feeling and not always having that compulsion, I guess. Because I don't have OCD. I really don't. This is like the only aspect that is kind of borderline on that, but I think it's a guilt thing from my childhood. So, I don't know. I don't have the answers. Just wanted to talk about it. But I kind of felt better after getting this tattoo because it was a way of kind of dealing with the physical tension that I needed to get rid of. Because psychologically I don't know what to do. Like, I already dealt with that. I already talked to my partner. The psychological part was done. Like, I already dealt with that. But, then having to deal with the physical side of it, I was still not feeling good. And I was like, why is this happening? Why is my body not recovering? Yeah. So it's still not perfect, I make mistakes and I don't know everything that's going on in my body. I haven't got it all figured out. But it is nice to have some answers and to be able to kind of rationalize and talk to myself when things are happening. But I didn't sleep great a couple nights ago. And, thankfully it was the Saturday night, so I was able to kind of just sleep it off the next day, and just be lazy. But yeah, it's just frustrating, and yeah, unfortunately there's just stuff I'm gonna be dealing with, and it doesn't just go away overnight. It doesn't. Logically knowing why something's happening doesn't make it stop happening, unfortunately. So I wish it did, really do, because then I could just, if I could just reason with my own brain. I try to. It doesn't always work, obviously, but I know that it's possible eventually for me to get to a better place where I can not feel guilty for stupid little things. And again, I shouldn't be saying it's stupid, but it feels that way. But I do know that it's not stupid. It's from all of the times that I felt that way before when I was younger. But yeah, anyways, I think that's all I've got to talk about today. Understanding your emotions and why things are happening and the way that it feels physically in your body is really, really hard. And I know I'm not the only one who deals with this. I know this happens to a lot of people in different ways, and if you're dealing with anything and you're like, wow, it's really affecting me physically, and I don't even know for sure what's happening in my head, but I know that I feel sick. I've been there, So I hope that you're able to regulate your nervous system, and that you'll have people that can support you along the way too, and that you'll have comfort people like I have. I have my partner that definitely helps me feel safe and helps me to feel safer in my own body too sometimes, which can be really hard. I know that when I was really not doing well anxiety-wise, I didn't feel safe in myself at all. And I almost like panic attached myself to my partner, or like I don't feel right unless you're around me because I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of being just myself because I don't think I can handle it. So I've been there. And it does get better, and we can build resilience and strength and confidence. And having a few experiences where you don't feel confident just reminds you that, you're the same person that you've been, but you've come a long way, and you're able to get through it and not go back to the same exact place that you were. And you've been through it before, so you know you can get through it again. And it just, yeah, it's a process. Healing is not linear, and it's hard to deal with that in the moment, for sure. But it's good to remember and not try to not beat yourself up over it. Anyways, thank you guys for being here and listening to me ramble on about my stuff. And I hope you guys have a good week, and that you remember that you are enough.